Hi, I'm Taylor Ward, and you're listening to Halfway Around the Halo.
Fires the first. The Angels have no hit. The Seattle Mariners racing back to the track. Gone! Big fly for Mike Trout. There it is. Hit number 3,000 for Albert Pujols. Gone! Big fly, Ohtani shot. Waltrout leaps up, and he got it. Oh, my! Jared Reeder has no hit. The Minnesota Twins. Anderson, the Angels, world champions.
Hello and welcome back to Halfway Around the Halo, the LA Angels UK podcast. This is season seven, episode 5, and we're delighted to be joined not only by Toby Barnes today, but Adam Rank, such a huge Halos fan. It's his 4th time on the show, I think. And Adam, we're delighted to have you back. How are you doing?
No, it's a pleasure to be on. I was just sitting about here the other day thinking about when you're going to make your return trip. I don't know if you've announced when you're going to be out here. Obviously, it wasn't going to be the first couple of weeks of the season, considering we played like 30 games on the road already.
Yeah.
But there'll be some long home stretches upcoming.
Yeah, looking forward to coming back. I haven't announced it yet. I'm still working through logistics, but I'm hoping at some point this summer I'll be back because, as you said, the benefit of playing all these games on the road means we're going to get some really nice home stretches in the middle of summer, towards the end of the season, when, fingers crossed, we're playing good baseball and still in contention for things. But Toby, bring you in here. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. I mean, it's a bit of a blessing and a curse, the Angels playing so many away from home for us UK-based fans, because a lot of the times it's kind of East Coast games or Central times. It's more UK friendly, and now they're back on the West Coast for kind of prolonged stretches. That means the 3 a.m. starts for us. So, it's a bit of a catch-22 for us UK-based fans.
It's very true. I've been able to watch a lot more Halos baseball at semi-reasonable times than I would normally. I say semi-reasonable. There's still like midnight starts or 1 a.m. starts, but at least it means staying up, watching a game, and then having like a solid 4 hours of sleep afterwards compared to like broken 2 hours either end. So yeah, we'll take it. But now we're back to the West Coast tonight, and we will say as we're recording this, happy Zach Neto Day to all that celebrate. We don't have official confirmation yet that he'll be activated tonight, but I'm sure we've all seen the pictures on social media, haven't we, of Neto back at Long Beach Airport. Looks like he's ready to go. He's been absolutely tearing the cover off the ball at Salt Lake. So fingers crossed he's back. He's going to make a big difference to this lineup. But let's just get straight into the action, where the Halos sit right now. When we last recorded, really, really positive. Still really positive now. The Halos come back after a road trip. They're 9-9. I think, if we're being realistic, we'd all have taken 9-9 at the start of the season when we looked at the schedule. Very happy with how that is. But Adam, I'll come to you first. Just some thoughts on what you've seen over that first 18 games and what you're happy with and what you're maybe not so happy with.
Yeah, that's one of the things that, had you told us that we're going to play the first 18 games without Zach Neto, we are going to be 9-9. Again, if we're at the end of March and we're having this conversation, like, obviously, like, we would have taken that. Like, best case scenario, we love it. Sign me up all day. But coming off a road trip that finished with a 1-5 stretch against the 2 Texas teams, and teams that we don't really play well against. And it's so awkward now to see Texas being a good franchise, or at least Corey Seager being like, I don't know how that team won a World Series, but it doesn't matter. I think that when you look at the overall picture, 9-9, it's fair. And I think it's great for both sets of fan bases, because the optimistic sorts like myself, who always point like, hey, 9-9, we're coming home, we have an opportunity. Great talking point for me. And for all the Angel fans who want to be, doom and gloom and pessimistic, they're like, we've lost 5 of 6. It was a mirage. None of this stuff matters. We're not that good of a team. But I think that the answer is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to find out right now as we go into this home stretch. If they lose this series against the Giants, I would be a little bit worried, but I'm still feeling pretty optimistic right now. Although I really wish our pitchers had been set up better for the rotation that will be running out this weekend.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, the Giants are a good team. I still won't be overly concerned. I think if we can at least take one of the games, maybe we need to start winning games again, don't we? Ideally, we win this series, but if we lose it, we lose it. I've still seen enough positives that I think we are going to get better this year as the season goes on, unlike previous years, and that's health dependent. But I think in previous years we've started okay, faded massively because just the talent wasn't there. It was veterans that weren't particularly good veterans, and the dynamics of the team weren't there. This year, I think it is still a young core. It's a young, improving core. It's players that I think personally, as the season goes on, they're just going to get better and better as we need them to if this team is going to improve. So I'm still like I'm with you, and I generally sit in the middle, I would say. I try to be positive as much as possible. It's more fun to be positive in my view, and
Yeah.
that's where I actually land. We said this all along. We knew that that great start wasn't going to last forever. We just know Halo's baseball enough. We're not going to suddenly jump from a 63 win team to a 95 win team. It's just not going to happen. But you can still take the positives from it. So I'm optimistic with where we're going, and I agree with you on the rotation setup. We obviously we used our two best guys in Texas, and neither of them got a win. We're now at that back end where Carl Hendricks got absolutely crushed in his last start, didn't he? Early doors, recovered a bit from it. Tyler Anderson, we talk about Tyler Anderson, don't we? And you always have this negative feeling towards his name, but he does. Last start, he went
He's
what?
good.
Yeah, he was good, and he does.
He's a good player.
He,
Like,
he is.
there's nothing to be ashamed of.
No, he is a good player, but we just know that he is who he is, I guess. There's no upside to it. I think that's the point, isn't it? It's a steady, you know what you're getting with him. But that's just like I'm positive. Toby, where are you on this scale right now? We're coming into the Giant series.
I think I'm kind of in the middle, I guess, kind of bit like everyone or most people like I've seen anyway. We knew that Texas are going to be a good team. They're kind of getting back to their World Series form, I guess you can kind of say. And the thing that kind of frustrated me most with the Texas series is we know how aggressive Corey Seager is on the first pitch. And every first pitch I saw to Corey Seager was in the middle of the zone. And I'm like, this guy is lethal, always swinging first pitch, absolutely lethal. So let's throw him an 87-mile-an-hour slider right down the middle and watch it be over our heads. It was so frustrating, and that kind of irked me slightly. But other than that, I think kind of you can't ask for a lot more than kind of winning your first 3-4 series of the season and then kind of coming back down to earth a little bit. But you always need that to happen. I think Quinn and then coming back home as well. That's hopefully going to be a boost. And like we've said with Neto coming back potentially as well, that hopefully combined with being at home and having that kind of home comforts, hopefully a bit of a home field advantage, it's going to be going to be a bit of a lift to everyone's moods.
Are you going to be there
Yeah,
this weekend, Adam?
yeah, I'll be there for sure. I didn't realize too, because somebody mentioned this when I tweeted out, because I know I love to tweet after we win. So I felt yesterday that it was important to be like, you know what, because I know people will be like, I'm still supporting this team. I'll be out there this weekend. They were having the Star Wars night.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think tonight's the drone show or something. And then we're going Saturday and Sunday. We usually go Saturday and Sunday because Saturday is an easy one because of fireworks. The kids always enjoy it. You obviously know my daughter,
Yeah.
but the kids love that. And then the Sunday is an easy one. I always love the Sunday because even though it's Easter, I think it's Easter. Something.
Yeah.
It's not Christmas. It's the other one.
It's
Easter.
definitely Easter.
Easter. Okay. Sorry. I just want to, I forget sometimes. Listen, so it'll be fun to go out there. And I think it's actually a great move by the Angels to make sure these first two nights have, and I don't know if this was the plan, because it always seems weird. Like, why aren't we doing the Star Wars thing on May 4th or closer to May 4th? Maybe this is the closest we can get to it. But, coming in after a long homestand, getting everybody fired up. So I anticipate a near sellout crowd tonight.
Yeah.
Saturday night, if there's a giveaway, I'm assuming that's going to be a sellout. So that's going to be huge. Saturdays are always festive anyway. So I hope that the energy will pull us up, and being there will be a lot of fun. And I can't wait to get back. It seems like it's been way too long.
It has been way too long. And I think you're right. And the energy of Angel Stadium, I don't think people give it enough credit. I know it's a different fan base to someone on the East Coast. It's a different fan base to Philadelphia. Like, you've just got to accept that. It's a different style. Yeah. It's a different group of fans. But that does not mean that Angel Stadium doesn't get raucous, doesn't get passionate, doesn't get loud. I've seen it. You've seen it. When that place is sold out and the team is playing well, it is rocking. Everyone is behind the team, and people are are engaged, and he gets a bad reputation at times, I think, for just for being Southern Californian ultimately and having a certain
Yeah.
style image attached to it. But I think this weekend will be fun. We need the team to come back from this road trip and actually have a good night with the bats. And that's some of the things I want to talk about. If we just touch on that Texas series again, what you thought of some of the situational hitting. I think it's been frustrating all year to a degree. We've been hitting the long ball well. We obviously had that stretch, didn't we? We led the majors for a while. The
Yeah.
situational hitting has been bad for the Halos for quite a long time. This year, quite noticeable though. I think we've had quite a few moments in these games we've lost where just a bit more clutch hitting, a bit more less swinging for the fences, more putting the ball in play, and we might have seen different results and turned a few of these losses into wins. So I don't know whether you think that's something that's going to pick up as the season goes on, or it's a worry for this team where it is.
No, I think that it's something that we need to see a little bit more of is that once that graphic came out that the Angels were leading the majors in home runs, you're like, oh, we're doomed. Because now these guys, hey,
Mhm.
let's switch to torpedo bats or do whatever and go crazy. But you just want to see guys squaring up the baseball. I think for Kyron Paris, one of the things that you want to see out of him, like you just need to make contact because your
Yeah.
speed is such a blessing. He's still finding a way to get on base, which I love. Logan O'Hoppe also missed a couple of games too. Like he's been missing some time. So getting him back out there. And I think that that's one of the things that we'll see when Zach Neto returns is that it's going to give them a little bit more flexibility of who
Mm.
they put into the lineup or who they don't have in the lineup. Like Kyron Paris will take the place of Kevin Newman's gone, so that's great. Not that he's released, but like he's not going to be starting anymore. So either Tim Anderson, so we have Neto replacing a shortstop, but by moving, this is my hope, is that Kyron's going to continue to get the at bats. We're not going to play this game where like, no, we got to get Joe Adell. Like I think like at some point with Joe Adell, maybe we got to just realize it is who it is. Like it's going to be what it's going to be, and have Kyron Paris play and get those at bats. So if you're taking away at bats from Tim Anderson, Kevin Newman, and Joe Adell, we're winning by subtraction.
Yeah.
And I think it's a matter of like just being smarter. Renhefo, who I love,
Same.
is a player, but like he needs to be more situationally aware of
Hmm.
things. And I wish he would be a little bit more present in that. But you know what? We're seeing some good things. Sean Noel's actually squaring up baseballs really well. So it's coming along. And then Trout, and for everything that's going on, Trout's still not raised his average, which is going to happen, I would assume. So I still think that there's opportunity for growth. And I think we'll see that starting to come to fruition this weekend.
You make some really good points. I'm not sure where to come to first with that. On the Trout thing, I mean, I don't know. I worry. I actually do, for the first time, properly worry about Trout. And I don't think he's going to stay where he is forever. He's been hitting the ball hard. He's been making a lot of outs where they just, he's been unlucky with them. There's so much swing and miss in his game these days, but that's been the same for a while now. He did have to, whether it was the injuries, whether it was just getting a bit older, he did start adapting his game, didn't he? He did become a more typical slugger. He was looking for the home run ball. He wasn't making contact and working counts so much and putting the ball in play. Like he's still great. He's still Mike Trout. He still is going to do things that other people can't do. But I do think we have to temper expectations a little bit on his production. And we don't help that because anytime Mike does something good, I mean, it's all hype in the air, isn't it? And Mike
Yeah.
Trout being the GOAT. But I do think realistically, we need to just accept that he's not going to be everything we ever thought he was at the time or was at the time again. So that's where I am with Mike. On Adele, I think Toby and I both agree. I'm done with him. Not in the sense of get rid of him now, but I just think he is
No.
who he is. He is, as you say, we're not going to see that potential that we thought we had when he came into the minors and started looking like he was going to be like a huge all-star potential for the Hail. He's just not
Yeah.
that. He's replacement level in the outfield. He's a fourth outfielder. You probably get him 2 games a week, say. Kyron Paris has the potential to be better than that, in my view. And he started on fire. He obviously has cooled off a bit because, again, I think he's swinging for the fences when he doesn't need to. I want to see
Yeah.
him just put the ball in play. That speed is electric. Anytime he's on the base pass, you're expecting him to steal, aren't you? You're expecting him to score from second every time or first every time when it's into the outfield. he needs to just work. Like, fine, I don't mind if you're hitting them out every now and again. You should be, but as a second baseman or the center fielder, we don't need you to do that. We have power in the lineup elsewhere. We need you to get on base and let others around you drive you in because we're hitting too many solo shots. But Toby, I realized I've been speaking for so long. I'll bring you in here. Where are you on all of this?
I mean, I feel like the Angels outfield in particular must listen to Half Around the Halo because last week we were essentially just saying how bad they were and how they needed to just change things around. And then they promptly each go and hit 2 home runs in each. So we were saying how bad Joe Adele's been. He goes and hits 2 home runs. Saying how bad Trout's been and how he's not the Mike Trout of old, goes and hits 2 runs. So I feel like, if we're bashing them again, maybe we can hopefully inspire them a little bit more and say, look, if we can spot it from the UK, you can go and perform. So you never know. I think there is, as a result of the podcast going out, they are going to go and hit some more home runs. But I do totally agree. Joe Adele, I think we're all accepting that he shouldn't be the everyday centre fielder, and I think Paris has shown even defensively that he's up to it as well. He's made a few good plays there, so I think that you don't have to worry about the glove there. And offensively, he has proven to be so much more effective than Joe Adele. But like you've all said, I'll kind of just agree with both of you, and say that yeah, it needs to be better putting the ball in play rather than it being home run or bust. But unfortunately, that's the way the league's gone. It's kind of gone. It's either out the park or you're striking out, and that's kind of the way the league shifted to. And you want to have that little bit more of a traditional approach and getting the ball in play and getting guys in scoring position. But then for the Angels who have struggled with runners in scoring position, you kind of need to have the home runs there, otherwise it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I really miss the days back in you're probably too young to remember all this. But like teams that would build for their ballpark, like the Cardinals had this, they played in a bush back then was pretty big, so they had this speedy team. I've always wanted to be one of those speedy teams that just like doesn't always rely on the home run, just goes out there and makes plays and goes first to third. I guess the Angels did that in the early part of Mike Scioscia's tenure. No, because we still had 40 guys or
Yeah.
4 guys with 30 home runs. But yeah, I would like to see a little bit more of the situational, like moving guys across, productive outs. When we were successful over the last couple of weeks, there were a lot of innings where there were some productive outs and getting guys
Mm.
on. Even that, forget who it was we were playing. We loaded the bases. Maybe it was one of the White Sox games, but we had loaded the bases and we ended up, it was bases loaded, no outs, and we got 2 sac flies. And you're like, all right, like the old Angels would have just not scored. We would have hit into like a 5-2-3 double play, and then a weak dribbler, and nothing would have happened. But they had 2 sacrifices, and you're like, all right, yeah, I'll take that. Anytime the bases are loaded and you put up a crooked number, it's good. And I think that's what the Angels need to focus on. And again, maybe we just go back and we credit the Texas pitching staff, who's pretty good. I know that the Kamar Rocker thing is a little bit of there's a little bit of a revenge factor there
Mm.
because the Angels could have drafted him instead of, was it Silseth? Because he was on the board and we passed him up. No, was it Silseth?
He was
No.
at the win the 11th round, didn't he? It was
Who was the? Oh, it's somebody who hasn't even really made an impact for us. Sam Bachman.
yes, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
That's the one. You're like, oh, Kamar Rocker. Although the way Kamar Rocker, his journey to the major leagues has been anything but, you know, he missed the whole year, gets redrafted. I've always kept an eye on him because one of my good friends he was like, that whole draft was like, we got to draft Rocker. And like, I don't know, there's something about it. Then he gets injured and he goes, and I'm like, well, and my friend was like, oh, I guess you were correct about this. I'm like, no, no, no. If this is a guy the Angels passed on, he will have Tommy John. He will go to another team. He will eventually find a way to murder us. And it happened
Hmm.
on Thursday, but it was finally there. But so I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to really panic over just one or two bad series in Texas. I think the mindset's still there. I think we're doing a lot of good things.
I do too. I think actually though, there is a potential in this team to be the type of team you're talking about there. We actually do have quite a bit of speed. I mean, you look at Renhefo stole quite a few bags last year. Neto can. We know Paris can. We know Adele can. The problem is, and you sort of touched on it with Renhefo, but I would talk about some of these others. They don't have that baseball smarts, that IQ, do they? They seem
Yeah.
something our team seems to lack. It's not an ability on the base pass or the speed for it. It's the nous of when to run, when we should be hitting and running. I mean, someone like Nolan Shanuel should be much better, and he's had a good year to start, but he should be much better at situational hitting than he is, rather than
Yeah.
rolling over and grounding out or double play ball. He's the sort of hitter that should be driving in a lot of these guys. I actually predicted him to lead the Halos and RBIs last year because I do, and I still think at some point he probably will be that player for us if he keeps developing because he is the sort of guy you want to drive people in, isn't he? You get them on base with their
For
speed
sure.
and let him drive runs in. So I think the potential for this team is there. I just don't think they have the smarts for it, and I don't know if that's something you can teach. But if it is something you can teach, we've got the right manager in charge to do it. If anyone can get them playing that way, it will be Ron. Not that I'm 100% convinced on him as manager, but I don't think I've ever
There's
been.
some things about him though. Like there's like the other night when Soriano was in there and he goes out to the mound and you're like, okay, well, he's not always going to be he'll go out there and they entertains, like, okay, he let Soriano's able to convince him to get him one more batter. The thing that bothers me, and this is not just Ron Washington, but a lot of managers do this, is like you get him and like he'll induce like the weakest ground ball imaginable that turns into an infield single because it was so horrifically hit.
Mm,
And then you still pull him out. You're like,
yeah,
he did everything you wanted him to do. Like, do it again because, like, if a guy hits another one like that, then the play will be at the plate and not at first. And, like, that's the kind of stuff that's so frustrating to me. It's like, and this goes back to angel managers. And again, I see this all around Major League Baseball. But, like, you've got, like, the pitcher did the job that you wanted him to do. He got a week, like, if a guy's getting hammered, then you got to pull him. But if a guy's giving up bleeders and he's having some bad luck, like let him work through that.
mm,
And I think long term for the Angels, it's better for Soriano to work that out as opposed to going to the bullpen so early.
yeah. What did you think about the stuff with Kahanowitz last night with Ron? Because it's basically the same things you're talking about there, where Kahanowitz wasn't able to convince Ron to let him stay in the ball game and had a bit of a hissy fit, didn't he? I mean, he stormed off the mound, threw the ball, and just what I don't think it's a great look for either of them, if I'm honest. But I don't know what your take is, Toby, Adam.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of going to ask the same question as you brought it up, and I think it's a little bit of immaturity from Kahanowicz's side, but also kind of on the Washington point. I don't like how quickly he'll throw players under the bus for not doing as he says, rather than taking ownership. He seems very quick to kind of say, "Oh, it was the player's fault," and it's very there's a lack of kind of ownership from the manager's side. And if he's my manager and he's going to kind of throw me under the bus and kind of say it was my error rather than his error and he kind of should have done this or whatever. It's kind of it doesn't inspire the most leadership, and I get that he's an energetic guy, but if he's gonna kind of quietly give me kind of an arm around the shoulder, but then in public and in the media tell me that I should do better, it's kind of I don't know, it kind of doesn't kind of sit right. As a guy who kind of plays a lot of sports, I want my managers to kind of be as true in the locker room as they are kind of outside of that too. So yeah, I think that maybe hopefully it doesn't kind of spill over with Kahanowitz into anything more than kind of him just being upset and he thinks he can kind of do better, deserves that chance to at least end the inning. But hopefully it's nothing too major, nothing to worry about.
Yeah, and if we saw Moneyball, we know that Ron Washington's got that kind of personality. And I don't know if it's described as old school or whatever it is, but I never want to, blow somebody up publicly. Like that is the thing that's usually kept in house
Yeah.
or anything like that. Maybe he thinks that he needs to go out there and do this. And this is his way of getting it across. I mean, as somebody who coaches youth sports, like you get to know how certain players respond to things. And there's kids that'll be, you got to talk to them this way or do what like that. So I don't know if he's figured out like this is the way that he gets to Kahanowitz is the public, but he does this with a lot of people where he's always like, yeah, this guy's not And there's some parts of it that's refreshing, where it's like, yeah, you know what, hey, why are you calling this play or whatever? And I know it's like it's usually the safety squeeze. It's always the one.
Mm.
And Sam Blum's got to be out there like, why did you call this? And Ron will be like, well, if they execute it, and there is something to that. Like if you execute it, because I understand, like it's fun. Like I was sitting there, and I know this is going to be the. I'm sorry, I know that I love to throw in my coaching, my code, but this is how I do it. So the other day, this has happened on Saturday. We're sitting there, and I coach football. I coach my daughter and my son in football, and I told our center back. It was a corner, and she's way back. She's at the top at the top of the penalty area. I'm like, no. I go, go to almost to the touch line, opposite of the girl taking the corner. I'm like, right in front of that USC chair. The ball's gonna find you, because if our girl, and it's usually my daughter whiffs on this, or there's something wrong, that's where the ball always ends up. That's where Hudson kicks it. And you sit there, and like, sure enough, the ball goes right to her. And the parents are like, oh my gosh, like it's weird. I'm like, I know. The kids seem so surprised that I know what I'm talking about. And then the next time we have a corner, the girl's not that. She's back at the top of the penalty area again. I'm like, why do I have to tell you again? So I get the frustration of like, hey, you got to go out and you got to execute. But then at the same time, I didn't go and blow her up on social media. I don't have, a press corps that I got to deal with. But to the parents, but I guess to the parents too. The parents like, hey, why is she? I'm like, no, she's doing fine. She's doing fine. Like she's doing great. Then you pull her aside, like, you better get your boots on the ground over there where I'm telling you to be. But yeah. So I don't know what that was, other than I just wanted to brag about coaching. But I understand both sides of it.
Yeah.
So I hope Ron's pushing the right buttons, and we'll see how the team responds tonight. And I'm cautiously optimistic, as I always am.
Quite frankly, I don't think I've ever really liked a manager. Or as in, I've liked them, but I've always thought there are flaws there. I don't think I've ever given like a manager truly like Mike Socia in my
What
lifetime.
about Joe?
I love Joe for many reasons, but like he made mistakes too. Some of the bullpen usage was a bit wacky, like they all do. And it's easy for us to sit here as armchair fans and complain about it. And that's just what sports fandom is largely, right? We can sit here, we can say things about bad decisions with the benefit of hindsight. It's fine. Obviously, we're not elite sports coaches like you, Adam. So you have that extra mental edge to it. But I don't know. I think we're Ron. I think he's trying to do the right things. I don't necessarily agree with all of the approaches, but I think that's the same for whoever we have in charge. So I get it. Just on quick question on you mentioned your daughter there, so absolutely huge Angels fan. But I wanted to say I liken it to when I was brought up as a Tottenham fan in the 90s, and we're bad now, but we were really bad then. And like it is character building, but how did she find last season when the team obviously lost 99 games and was just when you're that age, it's quite hard to stick with something, isn't it, when they're just losing all the time? But I don't know
Not even, but you know what? Not as bad as you would think, and like still as defiant as ever.
good.
And I live in Orange County, but there are still some Dodger fans who are here. It was interesting because she immediately turned on Otani. Like,
Good.
nope, out, everything good. And I was like, it's sort of the owner's fault, but like, I respect this. My son still is kind of like, still loves Otani. You're like, Otani still loves you. He just wanted different things, like winning baseball and $1 billion. And it's not really like she gets mad, she gets frustrated, but she still is like, okay, she's still locked in. She's never wavered. She's still into it. She's looking forward to these the games this weekend and everything like that. I will tell you at the end of last season, when we walked off the Mariners, one of the last home games of the year, and it was a Saturday night with fireworks. That was actually the last game that we went to. So we traditionally go on Sundays, as you know this, go on Sundays live. I said, we're done. But this is it. Like it could not have been better. I hate the Mariners. Actually, I don't think there's a team I dislike more than the Mariners.
I agree.
So we beat the Mariners. We walked them off. Let's go. and let's just, you know what, let's just call it a year. And yeah, so it was great. And the boy still loves tracking the scores and everything.
Mm.
In this household, if the Angels win, the next day MLB Network's on the entirety of the day.
Very
And
good.
now we haven't seen Roflo in a long time, and I miss them. But they're still hanging tough, and they still love going to the games,
Yeah.
and they still love being, and they're still locked in. They don't, like, these kids are like on their Kindles and tablets a lot, but when they go to games, like they're all about ball, and they
Yeah.
love it, and it is really a cool thing for them to do.
That's brilliant. I mean, that's exactly what you want, right? That's what you want with that generation, to love the sport like we do and continue wanting to go and realize that there are some down times and some hard times, but it's not all about the winning. It is about it's about being at the stadium. It's about enjoying the day out, the atmosphere, and just being there for the team when they need us most. So that's brilliant
Yeah.
to hear. Just changing slightly sports here. Two questions for you, Adam. How's your golf game currently? And talk me through your feelings on Rory completing the Grand Slam as well. We can't not mention it.
No, I'm glad that you do. The golf game's been pretty good. I've been going to Golf Tech, working on the swing. Golf Tech is actually really cool. Like, you get these lessons, but you also get 90 minutes of time per week hitting off a simulator where you get all the stats and everything. My big focus, the first thing that we worked on was making sure my hands were in the proper position. So I got that locked in. Now I'm stacking the left side and not getting my hip sway, not making sure my hips don't go back but are going forward. Um, the session today, the workout session today was not great, but I was rattled because I was one of the first ones in the building, so I couldn't get the TV monitor to work, and so I'm still learning all the equipment. And when I go to the range, I grab my 58 degree from Cleveland Golf, and I go and I hit a bunch and I get comfortable, and then I start swinging seriously with the 7. This one, because you get a half hour, I don't do that as much as I should, so I got to start getting into my regular mindset. But it'll be good. I'll be breaking 80 at some point. I'm pretty confident. I almost did, like, first one out of the chute. I was playing really well, and if I do break 80, because I'm playing the white tees, I'll
Right.
move back to the blues or I'll do something. But I'm like, dude, I haven't broke 80 yet. I have no business playing blue tees. Here's a phrase that I've never said to a person in the entirety of my life is hey, you should be playing the tees further back. Like, never say that to a random guy. Like, no, like, everybody, like, and I have a place out in Coachella that's behind it. I got a house and it's behind a tee box. I see some of the worst people, and they all got to play from the blues. And I'm like, this game would be so much more enjoyable to you if you just went up to that white tee. Like, nobody would think twice. Like, you're fine. It doesn't. You're still a man or
Yeah.
whatever. Go do that. So that's coming along. And then Rory was brilliant. I gotta say, everybody loves that Rory won, and the career Grand Slam and all this stuff. I honestly don't believe that they're talking enough about the fact that, like, he bottled it
Yeah.
on 18,
Yeah.
but then won it on 10.
Yeah.
Like, how many people would be able to do that? Like, if you think of the mentality of, somebody, you make an error that, puts the game into extra innings, and then you hit a home run to end it, to walk off the world, like game 7 of the World Series. Not like a regular season game in April, but like a World Series game. Throwing a pick 6 in the Super Bowl to allow overtime, and then going out and having a drive.
Yeah.
That was really the most remarkable thing. And I truly believe that a lot of people were like, oh no, Rory did it again. But I will say, Justin Rose got really unlucky.
Yeah.
That ball, like, people think like, oh, he hit the flag stick, that's unlucky. You're like, no, because that ball stops.
Yeah.
It doesn't, because Rory's checked back. I mean, Justin's getting the spin on the ball. Who knows how close Justin would have been?
Yeah.
Could have forced another hole. Who knows what could have happened? But I thought that all the grace and humility of the entirety of the situation was why we love sports and why we really enjoy it. And for Rory to win the Masters, it's been a struggle. and to see him finally go out there and achieve his dream, and a guy who seems like a pretty good guy. I really love Rory. He's been one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So I really I loved every second of it. It was just such a great day, and I love the Masters, and I love that tournament.
Me too. I felt so emotional afterwards. I think Rory just feels so relatable in a way that he's not, but he is. He just everything feels raw, doesn't it? And that point about bottled it at the end with missing that part left, like that's just what you expect from Rory in these big moments, unfortunately, because it's what we've come to terms with over the past decade. When it really matters, he's crumbled a bit. And as you say, to hit the most magnificent drive and second shot approach in the playoff. And I felt sorry for Justin Rose. Don't get me wrong. Any other Masters, any other time, I would be backing Justin Rose all the way. He produced one of probably the finest second nines at Augusta on a Sunday in a very. It was ridiculous round, wasn't it? I think he hit, was it like 10 birdies or something on the round, and it's just
Incredible.
crazy. But I mean, well done to Rory. It was such a magnificent day of sport, I think, and just you saw the viewing figures. Only Rory can do that, in my view. That was such a Rory pull, just because. And the fact he's managed to get people on both sides of the Atlantic to really root for him shows like what a great golfer, but also person I think to root for he is. I think you look at the American crowd. He was up against Bryson. He was getting double the cheers, wasn't he? And I know Bryson's a bit of a.
Yeah, I think I tweeted this out that it felt like a Rory home game.
Yeah.
And Bryson. Yeah, Bryson still got some, and I like Bryson, but he still has some PR work to do. As much as he's come along and really battled back from the depths of the struggles he had with Brooks Koepka, there's still something about like I just feel like he's quirky, and I feel like there's something where not to minimize, but I think there's some social awkwardness there with him that I don't think is malicious. And I don't think that he's trying to like burn somebody, but I think it's just, there's some, he doesn't have the same social cues as a lot of people, but I don't think that a lot of it is coming from a place of contempt. I think that's just the way his brain works.
I agree. I think so too. Toby, are you a golf man?
Yeah. I get asked a lot if I play golf, and I say, does it matter how well?
No.
I have a set of clubs I dust off the cobwebs every spring for 3 rounds, and then say this will be the year I get into it, and then I never do. But no, I think kind of with Rory, not enough has been spoken about Justin Rose being involved in the 2 most recent playoffs against 2 of the players who have waited the longest in terms of appearances to win. Obviously, lost to Sergio in 2017. It was his 18th attempt at winning the Masters, and then Roy was his 14th attempt at winning the Masters, and he'd been a playoff with them both and lost them both, which is just incredible stuff.
But Justin himself has been in 20 plus Masters as well, hasn't he? So
right. Like why doesn't he want to? He needs to win one.
Yeah, he deserves it. I mean, he's having a bit of a comeback here. He's like 45-ish, 44, 45, and he's playing some really good golf this year. It's been unlucky, but
and he's of the age of a person who of most of the guys who went over to live, it was that type of player who was, in his, in the mid to late 40s. Maybe his time at winning majors is coming to an end. Maybe it's time to go cash in, but he's still going, and he's still a part of it. And there's something admirable about that. So I've always been a huge fan of his. I really love Justin Rose. And I know too, like there's certain courses he always dominates. Like he's great at Pebble. And he's great at the Masters. And it's a joy to see. So I hope I know that next year, like a lot of people will remember what happened, like obviously going into next year, because Rory was joking about this where he goes, what's going to be the story now that I've won? Like, I think Justin Rose, I think there'll be a big swell, especially with the humility that he had and the grace and everything. And it's got to be disappointing. It reminds me, like he was sitting there, what's funny is there's been a debate on TikTok where about I don't know if anybody saw this old film called The League of Their Own. Where it was about the women's professional baseball league in the 40s during World War II. And the end of it, whether Dottie purposely lost or not. And everybody's like, of course she did. Look at the way she's smiling. At the end, it's like, no, this is actually Justin. Like she's actually Justin Rose, where like she wanted to win, but she lost. but she has empathy
Yeah.
and can be happy, or in this case, it's her sister. Similarly, Justin can be happy for Rory while simultaneously being disappointed that he lost. Justin's wife simultaneously can be happy for Rory while disappointed that her husband did not win this tournament. So that was there's so many great stories. So I think going into next year's Masters, I hope, and I will do my best to make this one of the narratives. It's first of all, how did I qualify for the Masters? No, Justin Rose going out there and playing in the Masters.
I'm just happy to see Justin Rose in prime Ryder Cup form this early in the year. Hopefully, he can keep it going come September, and we can bring it back home.
I was gonna say we'll have you back in September, Adam.
Then we'll be
that'll be
Ryder Cup. That's the thing too. And as much as we don't like him or whatever, or people don't like him, I thought last time leaving Bryson off was a huge mistake.
Yeah.
And I think that was, not why. I mean, obviously, you guys played great golf and deserved to win. But leaving Bryson off for whatever reason, right? Vibes or whatever, it's like, you know what? This is the kind of event where he's pretty good on, although, again, he bottled it on a Sunday. But that's the kind of, and he was playing his best golf during that last stretch. Hopefully he makes it this time because he's been one of the best.
I think he should, right? I mean, I think, as you say, it'd be absolutely foolish to keep him off. Europe now have got the same situation though, with like John Rahm, for example. Whether John Rahm qualifies or not, we've got to include. Yeah, like you've got to include him in there. You can't. The one thing US do have that Europeans don't is strength and depth, right? You obviously have a lot more golfers at a better level. Right now, we have probably the elite of golf. Though I mean, Europe it's been surging all year in the PGA. Now won the first major of the year. I mean, European golf is in a really good place right now, but the strength and depth isn't there beyond the top like 12, 14 guys. So
that's the thing about the Ryder Cup. It's like, I don't care what your minor league system looks like.
Yeah.
Your main roster is incredible. Yeah. Thinking about that too, when I was going through and I play, fantasy golf and everything, it's like, how many Europeans? Like, there's a lot of Europeans who are playing really well.
Yeah.
Shane's been playing really well.
Yeah.
Even though he didn't finish well on Sunday. And there's a lot to choose from there.
Yeah, I'm optimistic, but we'll see how it goes for the next few months. Moving on quickly we might as well go on to another sport because why not? NFL draft coming up this week, next week.
Next week.
How are you feeling for that? What's the vibe like heading to the draft?
It's really cool because there are so many different possibilities of what can happen in this upcoming draft that nobody really knows. Although the YouTube commenters really feel like they know everything because I do a mock draft. My mock draft's out. So if you go to NFL.com/rank or if you go to the NFL.com YouTube channel, you can find my mock draft with a twist. What I do is different. It's like, I don't try to predict who's doing what. I tell these teams who they should pick.
Right.
And for instance, I'm like, the Giants should take Ashton Genty, which all the YouTube geniuses are like, why would they do that? They got Tyrone Tracy, who's fine. Tyrone Tracy's a fine player. There's nothing wrong with him. I had him on my fantasy team too. But at the same time, you need dynamic superstars. Who's going to block? I don't know. You have other picks. Use other picks on some linemen. Go out there and rebuild it that way. But go out there and was doing this thing. And I think I had the Bears. I did talk the Bears into taking Mason Graham. Mason Graham. And people come onto the board there's no way this can happen. I'm like, well, it can happen if 9 other players are drafted in front of them. The only automatic thing at this moment, though, is that Cam Ward is probably going to be the number 1 player. And I was a little pessimistic about it coming into the draft season. But now that I was able to go back and watch, I usually just watch the games. I don't spend a lot of time doing the all 22s, but I watch games and try to get vibes and feels, and it's just the way that I do things. And I'm like, I think Cam Ward's pretty good. So he'll be good. And then after that, it's a wild card because, the Browns could draft Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, or they could take Abdul Carter. Or if they do draft, what if 3 quarterbacks that go in the top 10? Nobody knows. And that's the great thing about the NFL draft. Going into last season, I remember one of my big things was the Raiders should take Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
And it was like, you're an idiot. They took Michael Myers the year before. They would never do that. And you're like, okay, how'd that turn out?
Mm.
But like Michael Penix was a surprise pick at 8. Like there's so many different things going on. So it should be great. And this should be one of the most topsy-turvy ones. I don't think we'll see a lot of trades, but we're going to see a lot of random picks, and it's going to end up being a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love draft night. I'm used to staying up late, so it doesn't count for as much for me as it does for others. But like, I'll be up all night. It's really interesting. Seahawks picking at 18, which hopefully will go O-line finally, and they need to. But we've got a lot of draft picks this year because we've obviously traded DK, traded Geno, so like 2 seconds, 2/3. Really quite interesting time in Pacific Northwest for the direction he goes. Second year head coach. I think we're sort of like on that weird precipice where there is some good young talent there, but also
Yeah.
there's lots of pieces missing. And if you hit on the draft, you could see them be a really good team next year. If you miss on the
Yeah.
draft, you can see them going from where we've been the last 2 years, which is like 9 and 8, to maybe a 5 or 6 win team. But we'll see. Interesting. And I know the Bears have obviously got a big draft coming up as well.
Yeah.
You're
Massive
you're
for them. We'll
you're
see what they're
yeah.
going to do.
And Toby's a Cowboys fan, aren't you?
I am,
Oh,
yeah,
geez.
big Cowboys fan, unfortunately. Yeah, the thing I love about draft night is you could take kind of the nailed on superstar of the future or whatever, and people will be unhappy about it. You could take somebody who people haven't really heard of or say it's a reach or whatever, and everyone will be like, but they've never seen them play in the
Yeah.
NFL. Look at the Lions 2 years ago when they took Jameer Gibbs, they traded up for Gibbs and took Jameson Williams. Was that the same year or whatever? They thought, oh no, it was they took Laporta and Gibbs in the same draft, right? And everyone was like, oh, these are awful
They pay a
picks. Kind of
linebacker.
everyone gave them like a D- grade or whatever, and then look at them
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. The Jameer Gibbs, they traded back. They had the 6th overall pick, and they traded back because Jalen Carter was a possibility for them.
Mm.
But they traded back, and they ended up obviously with Jameer Gibbs. They took the linebacker. Why am I not thinking of his name? But they took a linebacker too. And again, people just said that was the
That
worst draft
Campbell?
of
Is it
all time.
Campbell?
Yeah, Campbell. So they're like, oh yeah, like they're like, this is the worst draft ever, but it ended up being really good for them. So a lot of opportunities for these teams.
Yeah, it'll
Yeah.
be interesting to see what the Cowboys end up doing at 12 because there's lots of talk about kind of Hampton and Tet and whatever, and I don't think anybody really knows, and I don't think the Cowboys know either. Having been a big fan of them for a while, I don't think they know.
Well, you're gonna have to try
You
and
know what
replace
though? But
Michael
they do such
Parsons.
a great
Now
they
Jerry's
do
pissed him off.
they do a great job of drafting though. I mean they really do. I was at Radio City Music Hall the year that they drafted Zach Martin, resisted the temptation to take Johnny Manziel.
Oh yeah.
So they do smart things. Micah Parsons was a great pick. It was 11th pick. Like
Mm.
They,
that
they
wasn't
traded
like
back
they
for him
had
as
to.
well because the cornerback's gone off the board, so they were like, "Well, let's bring back a couple of spots, get an extra pick," and they ended up taking Parsons. So yeah, no, that was good. And then kind of this year is just a bit, I think, even more up in the air. The last couple of years, though, the first round picks haven't been great with Marzi Smith and Tyler Guyton. So yeah, but when they pick in the 20s, they traditionally haven't been that good. Their top 15 picks have been excellent. So hopefully that trend can continue.
Yeah, I'm optimistic unless they do something crazy and draft Shador Sanders. If he falls to them, could you imagine? Like, oh, let Shador Sanders sit behind Dak Prescott for a year, then you fire Brian Schottenheimer, hire Dion to be your coach, and I mean, I feel like that's part of the reason why
Jerry's too
Dion.
cheap for that. He's not
No,
paying the buyout.
he'll be fine. I'm sure that contract with Brian Schottenheimer's worked out well in his favor.
Mm.
Oh, I mean, paying Sanders buyout for Colorado. There's no way he's paying
Oh, right.
that. He's not paying that.
Oh, I
That's
don't know. Jerry's about entertainment though. If the entertainment value is good enough, and it boosts the
If the
cap,
entertainment value is cheap enough, he will
maybe.
do it.
Maybe. Let's bring this all the way back around to Halo's baseball then. Close it out. So we got 2 home series now. We got the Giants this weekend. We got the Pirates in the week. How do we see this going? I mean, ideally, as we've said, we need to get back on a winning streak. The Giants have started the year really, really well. The NL West has been an extremely strong division to start the year. Um,
yeah.
how are we feeling for the weekend? The vibes coming into Angel Stadium, and obviously that Pirates series. I think you've got to be looking at wins.
Yeah, I'm hoping to go 4-6 here or 4-2 here. Got to get 4 wins. Ideally, it would be winning both series.
Yeah.
Even if you win one game from the Giants and sweep the Pirates, I think there's something about winning the series and like putting in that mentality of winning series like they were doing earlier in the year. It's got to start Friday night. They got to start off hot. They got to be ready. We can't. I know that Wayne was talking about it too, about like the fatigue and everything, but like can't use that anymore. Like you're home now. I really wish it would have been a day game yesterday. I'm like, why? Or why? I understand it's Texas, but like, make it a day game, Rangers. Like, let us get home. But division rivals doing what they do. I'm saying 4-2 over the next 6 games, and I'll be back being optimistic, and people are like, well, it's the Pirates, and so it'll be the best of both worlds again for both the optimist and the pessimist.
Toby.
I think it will be interesting because I mean the Giants they've got a good kind of pitch rotation. They look like we're going to face some of their top guys. The Pirates will be interesting who they ended up rolling out as well because obviously they've got a couple of electric pitchers in their rotation too. So it'll be an interesting who we match up against that way. But yeah, I think we always discuss a lot, Adam, that if you win every series, you win 100 games. So
Yeah.
we always kind of say that, and if the Angels can win both the series, then they're on a 100 game pace. I think it'll end up being 3-3. They'll they'll lose one and win one. I think they're more likely to win the Pirate series, just looking at the matchups and stuff. But if they can win both, then no complaints from me.
Are we getting a Paul Skeens homecoming? Do we know? I haven't looked that far ahead, but with a 3 game
I haven't
series,
either. I would imagine. I
you
think
want
so.
to.
I
You
don't.
obviously you want to
I'm
miss
guessing.
him.
What do I know?
You want to miss him, but also you
You
kind
want
of
to see him?
you kind of want to see him, right?
You don't
Um,
want to
Yeah.
face him, but you want to watch him. It's kind of such a catch-22.
yeah. I mean, he grew up huge Angels fan, biggest Mike Trout fan out there. It'd be cool for him to pitch Angel Stadium, and also that's his first one before he joins us in 2030, right? So.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, we missed out on Vladdy Jr., so I hope we get him.
Yeah, we gotta start bringing one of these hometown guys home, don't we? There's so
Yeah.
many of them, so many Orange County kids, so many Angels fans across the majors, and we don't seem to be doing a good enough job of bringing them all home.
Can we
Uh,
get Torrey Hunter Jr.?
we did have him. I mean, he was in the minor league system for years, wasn't he? I think he
Yeah.
finally left it. But yeah, I kind of agree with both of you. I think we'll go 3-3. I'm the optimist in me actually says let's win the weekend series and see where it goes. I think this team is going to be quite up and down for a while though. So you win a really good tough series against the Giants, it would be a classic Angels thing to do to then go and drop 2 or 3 against the Pirates. It just seems to be how this team has been functioning and wired for a while. I hope I'm wrong, but I just kind of see, particularly through April into May, I still see us being quite up and down until we really hit our stride. So I'll go for the split for the homestand, but obviously would love to see a 4-2 or a 5-1 and 6-0 in an ideal world. But let's try
For
and keep
sure.
it a modicum of realistic.
I agree.
Brilliant. I mean, enjoy the weekend, Adam. I'm very
Thank
jealous
you.
that you're going to be there. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Always a pleasure to talk to you about Angels baseball and everything else going on. And hopefully we'll be able to get you back on again this year because always a good time.
Oh, we'll be back for Ryder Cup for sure. I'll be here running my mouth again.
I would expect it. It's more fun with the rivalry. I mean, to be fair, it's where golf comes into its own, where we don't get that most of the time, and that's why the Ryder Cup's so great because everyone
Yeah.
loves that bit of needle and hostility in sport, the country stuff. It's great, and it's what golf needs, and it brings in the audiences. So
I think that was similar with the
100%.
WBC that we saw. That little bit of kind of country and the patriotism with kind of nations and that kind of brought an added kind of fresh dynamic. So hopefully that's next year, I think. Back in the everywhere, I think US, Tokyo. So
yeah,
hopefully
yes,
that'll be
next
nice as
spring.
well.
I love the
Yeah.
WBC. It was what a good start to the year. But anyway, won't take up any more of your time. Thank you everyone for listening. If you haven't clicked the subscribe button, go and do that now. This will be up on all your favorite podcast platforms on YouTube very soon. Thanks both, and go Halos.